Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys 5-minute figure reviews. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. We're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Marvel Knights wave, and in particular the Blade figure. Now this has been a much anticipated figure. We haven't had a Blade for quite some years now, and that one is a highly sought after figure, but that one didn't come with a jacket and this one looks a little bit more comic book accurate. So he's had a lot of people talking, and we're going to open him up and take a closer look and see just how cool this figure is. So we have finally got the window boxes back with Marvel Legends. They disappeared for a while, they went for that plastic free packaging, and now they've returned with the glorious window packaging. So for some in-box collectors this is a great move, and for others it doesn't really make a difference. But I do feel sorry for those in-box collectors that kind of had to suffer the windowless packaging era. There's two parts of the Mindless one there. We'll do a bath video, like a look at the whole Build-A-Figure in another video. There's a whole bunch of accessories here. So we've got a sword there, we've got two of these kind of little throwing blade things, we've got a couple of stakes. This all looks pretty good so far. So let's just take these out of the box, and there's the stakes. It's good to have a vampire hunter with stakes. That's a real plus. And here he is, here's the figure. What is really cool from initial inspection is he's got a sheath for his sword on his back already, which is a real good addition because it means that you can store the sword if you're not displaying him with the sword. So there we go. On initial inspection he's looking pretty good. There's a lot of reuse here. There's parts that I recognise from other figures, but they do all go together nicely and create a decent enough blade. It's that weird combination of pins in the arms and pinless legs. The legs look like a reuse of one of the more modern figures. I can't quite put my finger on it at the moment, and the arms are just your kind of jacketed arms. Let me put the sword away in the sheath. That fits in nicely. There's no kind of issues getting that in there. Now one of the most common things that has been mentioned across the internet is that he only comes with one head sculpt. So you've got this really great expressive face sculpt, but if you display them in like a vanilla pose, or if you want him in, like, you know, not an action pose on your display or in photography or whatever, then you're very limited on head sculpts. So it would have been nice to have got an additional head sculpt. We did get that in the previous one. We got two different versions, like two alternate looks, but we only have this expressive face in this one. There he is with one of the stakes, and I'm going to put the blade in the other hand. He comes with two alternate hands, so they are kind of open palm hands. Open palm? No, gripping hands, sorry. So you can hold all of his weapons and accessories in his hands. So you could have two stakes in the hands, you could have two of these knife things, or you could of course have him with the sword. Now one thing that is a shame is there isn't anywhere to store these if he's not holding them. Unlike the sword, which you can display on his back and you can store on his back, his little weapons and accessories, there's nowhere to store. It would have been nice for him to have like a belt maybe that you could have put the stakes in, or something like that. Now we have discussed the head, so this is the head from the previous Blade, or at least one of them, and I just want to have a look how this looks. You know what, that actually matches up quite nicely. It fits on no problem at all. So if you do have the previous Blade, you can swap the head out and put the old head on the new body, and that actually looks pretty cool, to be fair. The red in the glasses does match the red in the coat, and it makes it stand out. So I do actually like that as an alternate look. So I'm pleased that I've got that alternate head, but it wouldn't have been hard for them to put a head like this in the actual package. So anyone that doesn't have the older version of Blade would at least have an option for displaying him a little bit more neutral. But all in all, this is a very good figure, and I think definitely one of the best ones in the wave. As I said, Blade has been a really sought after character for quite some time, so to actually get a new version of the figure is really cool. And I do love that expressive head. It's cool, you can see all the fangs and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, all in all, it would have been nice to have had an extra head, but not having one isn't a deal breaker. I think the most disappointing thing about this for me is the pins in the arms and the kind of lack of articulation in the shoulders. You can't really move those arms any closer to the body, as they kind of stick out a little bit like a starfish, which is a shame. And I do dislike that when it happens on the figures, is it does limit the kind of poses that you can do. But all in all, a pretty decent figure, and for the price point, not a bad version of Blade to have on the shelf. One thing I will say is I'm so pleased they've moved away from that generic trench coat, and they're giving us different coats for different figures. This one, I'm not sure if they've used it before. I'm not sure if it's the same that we've seen on like Gambit and stuff, but it is at least a less invasive coat. So there he is with all of his accessories and bits and pieces. Thanks very much for watching. Do tune in for a 5-minute figure review look at all of this wave. But there we go, Blade, pretty decent figure, definitely one of my favourites from the wave. Please do like, share, subscribe and all of those things, and I'll see you soon.